Hey guys, my name is James Walsh, and you are listening to the Wrestling Epicenter here on YouTube. I want to thank you for finding us. Please do me a favor and click that subscribe button and the notifications bell. And if you get the chance on this video, click the like button. If you do, it'll turn blue. Check it out. Also, check out WrestlingEpicenter.com for all this great content available in MP3 format, our online store that'll keep us going free and clear, daily news updates, as well as all the information from the history of professional wrestling you could possibly ever want. Check out WrestlingEpicenter.com online right now. Without any delay, let's get to your interview here on the Wrestling Epicenter.
Welcome to a special edition of the Interactive Interview on the interactiveinterview.com. I just want to remind everybody to stay tuned after the Sherri Martel interview, as Daniel Edler will join us to tell us about his experiences running his first wrestling show, IPW UK, located at www.ipwuk.com. And while you're surfing the internet, check out Sherri Martel's brand new website at www.sherrimartel.com. Speaking of Sherri, why don't we roll some sensational music to introduce the sensational one?
Hey, this is the Macho Man Randy Savage, and you're listening to the Interactive Interview. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Interactive Interview on the interactiveinterview.com. Today, we're honored to bring you Sherri Martel. Sherri, how you doing?
I'm okay, James. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. You know, there's a lot of...
Wait a minute. We were talking a few minutes ago. You guys didn't tell me what state you're in.
I'm in Arizona.
You're in?
I'm in Arizona.
You're in Arizona?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I bet it's nice out there. I'm up in the mountains, so it's kind of nice. We've been getting real cool mornings and warm days here.
We're in an unseasonably cool spell, but it's still, the sun is still incredibly hot, so if you don't have the air conditioner on, I mean, it's only 75 out, which is uncommon for here, especially in September, but the sun is just so strong that it beats on the house, and it's 90 in the house, so.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I live on top of a mountain out here in Tennessee, so it's kind of really nice. I've got this one section of the house. There's a wraparound porch around my house. So there's one section of the house that you can go sit on, and there's always the breeze going through. And at night, it's been so nice, for the past couple of months. At night, that I haven't even had to put an air conditioner on. We've been leaving the doors open, and that's strange for this day and age.
Yeah, especially. I'm originally
very nice though.
It is, and I'm originally from right outside New York City, so I'm just used to cold all year round, and we came out here and it's 120. So.
Well, you don't have very much a change of seasons in Arizona.
Yeah, it goes from hot to warm. That's pretty much it.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I just remember traveling there a few times where I got actually cold at night. But
if you went up to Flagstaff, like upper towards where the Grand Canyon is, it gets cooler at night. But here, it doesn't really get that cool.
Okay. God, I remember a lot of good things happening in Arizona. Arizona was a fun place. I liked Arizona a lot.
First question I have for you is: Were you a wrestling fan growing up?
Not for a very long time. My mom started taking me to wrestling matches because it was either go skating with my sister or go to wrestling matches with her. So I tried the thing. Going roller skating with my sister, so that didn't help because I didn't like babysitting. And neither one of us were having a good time, so we started going to wrestling matches with my mom.
Who were some of your favorites at that point when you started actually getting involved in watching it?
Oh, God. Let me see. Ric Flair, of course, Blackjack Williams, Frank Dalton, Rocket and Sputnik Monroe, Flash Monroe. When I first got into wrestling, it was around the Mississippi area, so it was the people that were wrestling down there at that time. Bill Watts' group moved, ran shows down there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I remember. But there wasn't, it was like, just one wrestling group, and, it wasn't 4 or 5 different arenas, or it wasn't anything like Vince has now.
Yeah. How did you end up getting involved in the business?
I thought this was supposed to be talking about my website.
Well, you don't want to talk about that? We'll get to it.
Okay. Okay, say it again.
How did you end up getting involved in the business?
I wound up getting involved in the wrestling business because I was sitting down watching matches with my mom a couple of times, and I thought to myself, I can do that. And the older I got, the more sense it made, considering the fact that I don't know, I just wanted some place where I felt like I belonged at, and I could go and I could play dress up at wrestling, and I can go and scream my lungs out and get paid for it. And it was a good thing. The fans enjoyed it. They enjoyed yelling and screaming at me, and I enjoyed yelling and screaming them back at them. It's all a good thing. Everybody had a good time. I had a good time. I still have a good time with them. Whether they like me or they hate me, it really doesn't matter. They came out there, they paid their good money to see me. So I gave them everything that I had, and hopefully it was enough. And so apparently it is. And so if it was, they can just check me out on SherriMartel.com.
SherriMartel.com. We'll be sure to check it out. First question, another question.
Well, this is a fun thing because it's the first time I've ever done my own website, and I've been working with a gentleman named Adam York. He's got MrWrestling.com. He makes a lot of my wrestling outfits, when I have them made now, and for different outfits for different events and stuff like that. And it's just amazing. Technology these days is amazing. It's changed the wrestling business. It's changed everybody's life in general. You can go and get on the computer. You can go find anything on there. I mean, anything. It's amazing.
And what can you find at SherriMartel.com?
What can you find on SherriMartel.com? You'll find lots of blasts from the past up to the present, probably from 1979, 1980 up to 2004. You'll find all kinds of pictures on there. You'll be surprised if you find pictures on there because we've been changing them out so much, giving a little bit. We're giving a little bit of 25 years on a few pages there, and then we'll have the photo album in there that's got 25 to 30 8x10s, 5x7s of different kinds of pictures, and we got all kinds of stuff going in there. We got friends and foes going in there. We got the holidays are coming up. We got good kind of deals on picture albums and 8x10s. We got all kinds of stuff going on there. We've got On the Road with Sherri. When I go out on the road, I'll let everybody know what was going on and what if I thought it was a terrible town in my not so nasty way these days, since I'm a little bit older and more experienced. I have a tendency not to be so mean, but I will be honest.
Okay.
What are you laughing about?
I don't know. I just always tend to giggle like an idiot when I do these interviews. I don't know why. How involved was the Fabulous Moolah in training you?
How involved? Let me see. I was at her camp. Let me see if I remember. I went in August or September of 79. And I was there up until I went to Japan in January and February of 80. I came back and I went on a trip to work for the Memphis office, and I got hurt, and then I was out for a couple of years. So she was probably there in about 6 or 8 months, because I had went to a wrestling school before I went to Moolah's in Memphis, and I had learned to work. It was a different style, It's just like back then, it was either the men's style or the women's style. Well, I learned to work the men's style first, and then I learned to work the women's style when I was with Lillian, the Fabulous Moolah. And then when I went to Japan, I learned to work Japanese style, which is from the left. The guys go left, girls go right, Japanese go left. I go either way.
Right. Another chance, actually the first time I got a chance to see you was in the AWA, and we just recently had Marty Jannetty on a couple times, and he told some hysterical stories about Vern Gagne. Do you have any funny stories about Vern, or how did you get along with Vern?
Vern was okay. Larry Zbyszko had helped me get my job. He had been talking to me, and that was before. That was, right around there. I came up for a couple of shots to work for Vern, and Larry Zbyszko had thought I had a little bit of potential, and told me if I sat down, and I learned how to do interviews, I might have a future in the wrestling business. Of course, that sounded all well and good too, because at the time it was a male-dominated business, and there's not too many promoters that you could actually go to, because Lillian, at the time, everybody still got the girl wrestlers through Moolah. So that was just a really, really crazy time. And but Vern, I had managed to get it. Debbie Combs and I had went up there and worked, and Kenny Devine and I went up there and worked a couple of times.
Yeah.
So Larry started coaching me.
I'm still with you.
Yeah, and then we went into a meeting with Vern, and we settled everything, and I wound up moving up to Minneapolis.
That's good. That's good. What was your relationship like with Larry Zbyszko?
With Larry?
Yeah.
Oh, Larry was wonderful. Larry was wonderful. He gave me my nickname, Cher Bear. His nickname was Lair Bear. It's only because it was Larry and Sherri. And we used to hang out a lot. Let me see. Larry used to help me on a lot of my interviews. Larry got mad at me one time because he bought this new car, and he let me ride in it. No, he wouldn't let me drive it, but he let me ride in it. But we had stopped at this place. Brand new car seat and everything. So we stopped and had to get a cup of coffee. So I was putting sugar in my coffee, and I had it sitting in there, and Larry took off all of a sudden, and I spilled coffee in his brand new car. Oh, he got so mad at me. And then, let me see, Larry and Kathy. Oh, Kathy Gagne was always crazy about Larry. And they wound up getting married.
Right.
And everything. And so that was a good thing. We had a good time in Vegas there a couple of times. She put a lip lock on him you wouldn't believe. I said, this must be true love.
How did you enjoy...
After all these years.
That's okay. How did you enjoy managing Doug Summers and Buddy Rose?
Oh, that was amazing. Well, I was one of Buddy Rose's Glendine Mitchell night. It was when I was still with the Fabulous Moolah.
Yes.
We were his Rosebuds there a couple of times. That was when the Grand Wizard was still alive.
Yes.
Yes. So that was kind of amazing too, because Buddy wasn't always the most patient person in the world, but they did give me a chance. But when we'd had a hard day doing interviews on Tuesday, we'd have to all go in there, and we're doing interviews a minute and a half, 2.5 minutes, 3-minute interviews for inserts for the show, and I'm sitting there, and we're doing a 2.5-minute interview. I'll get like 2 minutes into the thing. I'll be rolling and everything, and then I just froze up. I forget what I was saying, and they just get mad at me before they say, "Jesus, Sherri." Then they hit themselves upside their head. And Buddy, he'd tell everybody that he was going to quit on the Sherri Martel blow away diet, and Doug said he'd just get mad at me and his big voice, "Sherri, can't you get your interviews right? We're going to be here all day long." But it was funny. I recently saw Buddy Rose up in New Jersey, and it was amazing. I was really glad to see him out. The only regret I have is that I didn't have more time to sit down and BS with him and tell him how much I appreciated the help that he did give me. I know they used to aggravate me a whole lot, but that was to be expected, Right. It was kind of like I had all of these big brothers all around me and everything, and everybody's. I didn't get in trouble that much, I do stupid stuff, like everybody in their 20s and 30s does. But,
right.
No different than anybody else. But the point was, even with all the things that happened with all of us, all the little troubles we got into, all the interviews I messed up and they were patient with me with, all the times I went out there and I forgot something, they were still patient with me. And they were wonderful. They were, how do you speak of someone that had such an influence in your life, such a positive influence, such a negative influence? These guys gave me every experience, and I mean, I'm not necessarily no, let me reword this right. Every emotional experience that someone could possibly think of. I mean, they've seen me at my worst, and they've seen me at my best. They've seen me when I was about ready to break down, and, you know, one of them would sit down and talk to me, you know, and tell me to get my shit together, you know, and not think about myself. I wasn't the only one in this tag team. Because when you're working with a tag team, you're working with, you know, four other guys, ever who you work, like, we used to work with the Rockers a lot.
Right.
So I was working with Buddy and Doug, you know, and we were all a total package. One day the Marquee said, you know, Buddy Rose and Doug Summers with Sherri Martel against the Rockers, you know, that's who had to be there. Otherwise, the fans were getting screwed out because they paid to see everybody. And you know, the guys were there. There were times I was up and I was down, but they were always there regardless.
Absolutely.
You know? They were good guys. My life's a lot better having known them.
What led you deciding to leave the AWA to go to the WWF?
Money.
Simple answer.
Money. I mean, seriously, come on. Is that a fair question? Come on.
I guess
okay,
it makes sense.
Okay, let me. Okay, all right. Let me lay the groundwork for you. Number one, you got Vince McMahon up there, and he's opening new avenues for people.
Right. He's
dangling carrots in front of people. He's thinking about tomorrow and what he's going to do with the wrestling business, because by this time, you know, Vince Senior's gone, God rest his soul, and Vince Jr. knew all along, you know, that he was going to turn the wrestling business into something spectacular that was going to go more in the area of entertainment, which it did. And it started going that way with all the rock and roll stars, with Cyndi Lauper and with Lou Albano doing all that stuff with all of them guys. And of course, Wendy was a champion at the time, and I don't know what happened with all of that. Whatever happened to it, happened with it, you know, it happened, and I didn't have nothing to do with it. But with the end of Wendy being there, then I got to come up there. So, you know, that was a cool thing. That's all I know, you know. But I had a great time coming up there. I knew working for Vince, he's given me an opportunity. What I chose to do with it, you know, that was my choice.
When they brought you in, they had you wrestling mostly, and then, of course, they put you with Randy Savage as the Sensational Queen.
Yeah.
Did you want to get out of the ring and start being a manager more, or were you happy in the ring?
Well, it didn't necessarily matter to me one way or the other, as long as I had a job. I mean, because I had tried, in order to be successful and have longevity in the wrestling business, you have to be multi-talented. Number one, you have to be able to wrestle, which I knew how to do. You know how to talk on a microphone, which I was getting better at doing. And plus, you look good. And at the time, you know, I had the full package. Everything was there. All I needed was somebody to mold me a little bit. Vince McMahon was that man. He brought me in as a lady wrestler, you know, and, you know, I hadn't been around the business, you know, I had maybe 10 years, 10 years under my belt. I get up there, you know, and he's not the type of person, he tells you his idea and the type of character that he wants. He always gave me leadway to where I could have some input into the development of the characters that I did, which was always really cool, because it didn't seem like I was doing something that somebody thought up. I was just bringing a part of myself out. And I didn't know that I could do a lot of that stuff that Vince knew. Vince has this gift, and he knows how to bring the best out in someone, or he knows how to get it across to the public or to you that that's what he wants. And it usually does good, because most of his ideas make money, as you well know.
Yeah, that's true. And he's been successful over the years. I mean, he said a line to Eric Bischoff the other day that, I'll be honest, I was a WCW fan, but there was a line that he had that was perfect. He said to Bischoff, "There's a reason you're the GM of Raw, and I'm not the GM of Nitro." So I thought that made perfect sense. Anyway. Absolutely. How did you get along with Randy Savage?
I liked Randy a lot. Randy was cool. He was a real intense kind of guy. Him and Liz were married at the time.
Right.
You know, so, and both of them were Scorpios, and they were kind of jealous of each other, but they loved each other too, you know. That was a real heavy thing. They were lucky that the two of them, they were together in the business, because it's hard to find somebody to have a relationship with in the wrestling business, because, they're going to spend a lot of time at home, and a lot of people just can't do that, don't do alone very well. I was fortunate for Randy and Liz that they did get to work together that time, and they were very successful and they were very good.
Do you have any thoughts on her passing?
Huh?
Do you have any thoughts on her recent passing away last year?
She should be here.
I know.
She should be here. She's another one of those people that made my life better by being part of it,
Right.
I'm serious. I've got a little gold locket. It's actually it's a Phantom of the Opera face with a little diamond in the left side of it that her and Randy gave to me in L.A. the night that we were all that we were finishing up our program.
Yeah.
And she gave me that. It was from them, and because I had worked with them for 2 years, and and we had, I'd smuggled her in and out of airports and hotels and everything else, and well, we had just done all kinds of things together, and I know for a fact that she was my friend, and I liked her a whole lot. She was amazing, and I miss her. I miss her so very much.
I don't know if there's going to be anything here, but Jake Roberts, when he was on our show, spoke very suspiciously about Lex Luger. Do you have any ill will towards Lex? I mean, anything, you know what I mean?
I don't know, because I didn't see. I know what all the innuendos are.
Right.
But that's, he knows, she knows, God knows.
Right. And I guess that's all that matters.
I'm not going to sit back and play judge and jury to anything, because nothing is conclusive yet.
Yep. A guy you managed for a short time, it didn't seem to last all that long, was Ted DiBiase. How did you enjoy working with Ted?
Ted was exceptional, because he was from the older school. He was from the older school of when I was watching. Because before I got in the wrestling business, when I was going with my mom in Mississippi, Ted DiBiase was working for Bill Watts, going down there around that area, and I remember watching him and seeing him out, a couple of times. But Ted was just exceptional. He was a gentleman through and through. He always shared the limelight with me. I was real fortunate with everybody that I worked with, because they weren't afraid to share the limelight with me. They weren't afraid to use me in the matches for, being, like somebody had to get cheap heat by using a girl. Everybody that I worked with had a mentality that doesn't matter how you get heat, as long as it's good heat, good heat. There's no such thing as cheap heat, only if you're using vulgarity and you don't have a mentality big enough or vocabulary large enough to use anything but that. Not too crazy about that kind of stuff. However, the character that I used to portray would really be a conflict of interest with me.
Another guy you managed, it was probably the last one you managed in WWF, it was Shawn Michaels. You, of course, were around him in the AWA days. Did you see him evolve, and were you happy with the way he ended up turning out?
Yeah, absolutely. Shawn's total package. I mean, he had everything. I mean, when I first met him in the Rockers in AWA, I used to get mad at him and everything, because they used to, they like anybody else, are young and up and coming superstars, and they've got all these girls around them, and and they're jocks too on top of it, and good looking. I mean, they had everything. So they used to think it was funny. They'd go out and have a couple of years or something at night, and when they get back up to their room about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, they thought it was real funny to pull the fire alarm. So all the hotel had to be evacuated at that time of the morning. Well, not too many people were pleased when they found out that it was a joke. Oh. It wasn't, but like I said, they're like anybody else in any other sport. I'm sure, they had their little things that they like to do, and it's just all part of growing up and becoming a man. Learning responsibilities, and then following through with everything that you've learned and putting it to the best possible use of all the gifts that God's given you. And I seem to think that he has done very well for himself, in my opinion.
Actually, it just turned out about 2 months ago or 3 months ago that Marty was baptized. So
Yes.
it looks like Shawn and Marty are friends again, and now they're both reborn. So that's pretty interesting. Now they can be now they could be the Christian rockers. No, just kidding. Where was I? Oh, you left the WWF at this point. Is there any reason why you decided to walk away, or did they just run out of ideas, or why?
I think they kind of just ran out of ideas, and at the time, there was a couple of things that I liked doing and Vince didn't like me doing, and so we couldn't come to terms on it. So, mutual agreement, we left. I left.
And you went to WCW. How did WCW compare?
I went to ECW.
That's right. You were with Shane Douglas for a short time.
Yeah, that was kind of fun up there because you could go up and work for ECW and Paulie and work with Terry Funk and Shane Douglas and all the guys up there. Taz was up there at the time. This was before he was an announcer. Sabu. And you could go up there and you could work with all of these guys and you could do stuff there that, rougher stuff.
Right.
And as far, for a girl in the ring than you could anywhere else. They were a little bit more lenient at that particular point, I think. And I just had a great time working up there. Shane Douglas was great. Oh, he was so funny. Terry Funk, I got you. I could get in the ring and he could slap me around anytime. He was amazing. I loved him to death. Paul Heyman, wonderful wrestling mind. Wonderful guy. I just had a great time with them guys up there.
How did you enjoy WCW compared to the WWF?
There's no comparison. Once you work for Vince, there's no comparison working for somebody else. I mean, it's just, the ship is just not run as tight. It's not. It was very loose. I'm sure they did what they did with what they had.
Right.
I'm being very vague here, aren't I? I'm sure they did the best they did with what they were thinking at the time, whatever that was.
Yeah.
I mean, you can think anything you want to think. I don't know what they were thinking or anything else, but we know who works for who now, so that's about all there is to that.
Right. You mentioned Ric Flair is one of your favorites when you started getting involved in the business, and of course you ended up managing him. Was that an honor for you to be side by side with Ric?
Very much so. It was an honor to walk with any of those guys. Flair, he'll go down in history. He's made his mark on the history books as far as the wrestling business goes, and it was an honor to walk and work with him there for a while. It really, really was. I'm happy to say he's my friend. And I just enjoyed it. I learned a lot of things from him. He's not, he's just a funny guy. I really enjoyed the Nature Boy. He's timeless. Really is.
How did you enjoy managing Harlem Heat, Booker T and Stevie Ray?
Oh, my two big brothers. Oh, they're wonderful. I still keep in touch with them. Oh, those guys were amazing. Our favorite subjects at the time was O.J. Simpson, Rick James, O.J. Simpson, because he kept saying if what is it? You have to quit if
the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit.
Yeah. Well, that was going around. That was the main topic of stuff. And because it was funny because when they brought me in there, Kevin Sullivan had brought me in there originally into WCW.
Right.
And they were going to put me originally with Ron Simmons. Well, that was about the time the thing happened when Nicole Brown Simpson and OJ. And so they said, that might be pushing the envelope a little bit. So instead of putting me with one big old black guy, they put me with two great big old black guys. And so we all became really, really good friends. And it was just amazing to work with them because, it's like having two big old brothers. I mean, nobody would mess with me in their right mind. I mean, seriously, I never had to worry about anybody saying anything bad about anything.
Right.
And if they did, it didn't matter anyway because they would say it under their breath. So it really didn't matter. But Booker and Stevie, they're my friends, and I tell you, I love them to death. I really, really do.
They did a really weird wedding angle with you and Colonel Robert Parker, and there was a big blow up with Medusa. It just didn't make any sense to me. Did it make any sense to you, and how did you enjoy that?
Well, it was fun while it was going on, but it it wound up not making any sense. It just, I don't know. It was just all crazy.
Was that kind of how?
It just didn't seem like they carried it through, or it just seemed like it became silly.
Right.
It really did to me.
Right.
I mean, not that I don't like doing silly stuff, but it just didn't seem to have reasoning behind it.
Absolutely.
Oh, well.
Yeah. In '97, you stepped away from WCW. Was there any reason why you stepped away?
Yeah, I got fired.
Well, what'd you do? Was there something that you done? Or?
Was it something that I'd done? It was probably a few things that I done. I pissed Eric Bischoff off, and he pissed me off, so it was just it.
All right. So in the past, I saw an interview you did a few years ago, and you were talking about, I think it was an upstart indie promotion that you were going to be working side by side with. How has that progressed in time?
How's what?
I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it was South Carolina Wrestling that you said you were going to be a part of.
Southeastern Championship.
Yes, there we go. Yes.
No. That's another one of those golden pretty boys that gets an idea in his head that he wants to be a wrestling promoter and that he is God's gift to Vince McMahon. That Vince McMahon is just sitting back and waiting for this person just to walk in front of him. He said, "God, I just had an epiphany. You're going to be a fortune, and I've been waiting for you." But anyway, that was about what all that amounted to. And that didn't go very far. And, I'm sorry to say, some people need to keep their feet on the ground and their head out of the clouds a little bit more.
And, of course, you can check you out at SherriMartel.com. Do you mind if we just close out with a few word associations?
Yeah, go right ahead.
You can give a one-word answer if you like, and if you have a story, feel free to fire away.
Okay.
All right, first name on the list is Missy Hyatt.
Missy Hyatt. I don't know. I've been wanting to. I like Missy. Had a few matches with her. I've been trying to find somebody that has that book because I want to read it, and I hear she dished a lot of people. I want to see if I'm in it.
I've read it. I don't think she bashes you in the book. I think it's more men that she bashes. But I read it.
Oh, she bashed. Well, I still want to see who she bashed. I read everybody's book, but I can't find hers.
I think it's up on Amazon.com still. I'm not sure. Anyway, next name on the list would be, I think you mentioned him, Shane Douglas. Dr. Martin. He used to always, when we was working at ECW before I went to WCW, he was going to medical school before he started getting real serious with the wrestling business again. And I used to sit down and I'd look at him, we'd have his wrestling gear on, and I'd close my eyes and I'd think, and I'd be laying on the operating table, and then, they were putting the gas on my nose, and I was real woozy, and I'd open my eyes and look, the doctor just walked in, and he had on down wrestling boots, wrestling tights, a stethoscope around his neck, and it was Shane Douglas walking in there with a scalpel in one hand. And he said, "Let's do it." Oh, God. But I love, what a nice guy he was, though. Always a nice guy. We were staying at this one hotel one time. We were eating, my girlfriend Kathy Fitzpatrick, we were all sitting down at Shoney's, and he would sit down. I'd go up to the buffet to fill my plate up again, and he would have gotten spaghetti on a previous buffet run, and he set the damn buffet. He set the spaghetti sauce down in my seat, and I sat down in the damn spaghetti sauce every time. I got him back a couple of times, though. How about Marty Jannetty?
Marty Jannetty. Oh, God, Marty Jannetty. Marty Jannetty and the Rockers. I never, he was, him and Shawn, they do mischievous things. Not bad things or any, just mischievous things that guys do.
Right.
And God bless him. I talked to him a couple of days ago, and he was doing all right. And I'm just happy that I can pick up the telephone, or I can look on my website and go to my emails, and I can see people that I knew years ago and talk to them, and they're still here. That's just an amazing thing to me. Like Marty a lot, he was amazing.
How about one that is unfortunately no longer here that I know you were in the AWA with and seemed to follow your career with, Kurt Hennig.
Kurt?
Yeah.
Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall were the AWA Tag Team Champions when I went up there,
Right.
when I first went to Minneapolis, and I started working with Buddy and Doug. And it was from Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall that they first won the tag team titles. Well, Kurt and Scott, they were always real funny. Scott lived across, we had a apartment up there across from the Minneapolis airport. And it was kind of like the Melrose 90210 thing. You know, that apartment, they had the swimming pool in the middle.
Right.
Well, we had an apartment like that up in Minnesota, too. And so when I would cook, everybody'd always open their doors. Everybody knew somebody was cooking or something was going on. And so they would always, Kurt was coming over to visit Scott. They'd always come down and see what I was cooking. And then on top of it, it's got to be winter one year, and we were over there doing interviews on Tuesday. So Kurt Hennig and Scott Hall took Nick Bockwinkel's championship belt. They hid it out under the snow, and Nick Bockwinkel was known as the champion without a belt. He didn't get his belt back until the springtime and the snow melted.
So it was still there for how many months?
Yeah, oh God, whole winter. Whole winter.
And in Minnesota, that's almost all year round.
I'm serious. Kurt was just always good. He was always respectful. And he was just an amazing guy. I liked him a whole lot. I mean, the world was a nicer place with him in it.
Right. How about, I'm sorry to hit you with another one that we lost. I know this one was somebody you hung around with a few times in the last years of his life. How about Road Warrior Hawk?
Oh, Hawk. Oh, God. I tell you what, they got a hell of a card up there,
Right.
Hawk was on that WCW, not WCW, the SCW, that group when I was living up in Lexington. I was trying to get that going.
Yeah.
Well, I had him up on a couple of the shows and everything, and I've got this thing on the the Hawk cam where he takes the camera. He did for Smart Mark Video, and he takes the camera around and he's talking about different people in the wrestling business and all kinds of stuff. But I was so fortunate and thankful that I had that tape and that I had saved it because, not too long after that, he had passed away. But God, I miss him so much. I mean, I can go back and I can watch that tape, and that's the only way I'll ever hear that, whatever, rush again. But that is, I miss him a lot. Really do.
I actually have that tape that you were talking about. That was really very interesting to watch when it first happened. And the line that I remember that Larry Zbyszko, that's not funny anymore, that he said, Hawk is still alive. And that just, I don't know, when I look back at that, it kind of strikes me as...
He is.
I know.
As long as the guys and the girls are alive in our hearts, they're not gone.
Right.
We just as humans, we're just kind of selfish because we're spoiled and we want to see them and touch them. But just because they're not here in body doesn't mean they're not here in our hearts. As long as they're alive in our hearts, they'll always go alive.
Okay. Three more names left on the list. Candy Divine.
Candy Divine. Oh, Candy was amazing. I won my first title from Candy.
Yeah, AWA.
Yeah. At Kaminsky Park. That was amazing. That was fun. Oh, me and Candy had our first match, and it was Kaminsky Park, and it was the first time I've won the belt. But I was wearing contacts that night, and for some reason, I think I had just gotten them, and the contact fell out of my eye and it fell on the mat. Well, for some reason, I was right in the middle of a wrestling match, and I seen it, and I picked my damn contact up and put it in my mouth. Well, I wound up swallowing the damn thing, and I went ahead, went through the match, and got beat Candy. Went back to the dressing room and wound up throwing my guts up to try to get that contact out. Oh. Can you believe that?
I guess they didn't have disposables back then.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was crazy. But it was wonderful. Me and Candy's known each other for a lot of years. We went through a lot of ups and downs. We know the worst and the best about each other, and we're still friends, so that's okay. A lot of miles. A lot of miles.
How about, what was her name? Medusa. We had her on. She spoke very highly of you, so I thought I'd throw you in.
Medusa. Oh, man, she was a go-getter. Do you know that she went and lived over in Japan for a couple of years?
Yeah, and she actually had
do you know how ballsy that is? I mean, from what I know, she didn't know anything about, she didn't know how to speak Japanese or nothing when she first went over there. But I tell you, I got a lot of respect for her. She went and did a lot of things. She went and did a lot of things outside of the wrestling business after she left. And I tell you what, I just always enjoyed her. She was always entertaining. Of course, I'm sure I entertained her a little bit too over the years.
Right.
We had some good matches. We really did. But she was always there. She was always very solid. She was a hell of a lady wrestler.
I just remembered.
She was a hell of a person too.
I just remember you made one appearance in WCW in I think 2000. It was just one match. It was a fairly short match. And were you planning on returning at that point, or was that just something that you just happened to be in the arena, or what?
It is something I happened to be in the arena, I guess.
Okay. Just was curious because I thought it was odd that you just kind of showed up. But then again, that's kind of. That's just.
Since when does anything in?
Actually, I have two more. I'm sorry. Second to last is Eric Bischoff.
Oh, what can you say about Eric Bischoff? He had a shot to make something big, and he had all the money in the world. He had Ted Turner's money behind it, and he didn't. The decisions that he made, apparently, well, we know where he's working now, so that's about all I got to say on Eric Bischoff. I mean, he did what he thought was right, at the time. I mean, I suppose, but I mean, I'm sure. I am nothing personal against him. Probably not. No. Nah. Nothing personal against him. Not anymore. I used to hate him, but oh well. You get over it a little fast.
And the last one is Vince McMahon.
I love Vince. I always love Vince. They always will. Vince treated me good. People could say what they want, and they can make references to this or that. But, when it all comes down to it, and I think about Vince McMahon, he's done nothing but help me out over the years. He gave me opportunity to work and do something that I love very much. And I got to go all over the place. I can walk into any arena right now, walk up to the man and shake his hand, and I can be welcome in any arena that they play in. And that's a good feeling. That is a good feeling. Whether I'll ever go back, that remains to be seen either. But I still walk up every time I go see Vince McMahon. I give him a hug and hug his neck. And that's a fact.
Just one quick question before I let you go that just popped into my mind. What is your opinion of NWA TNA?
No, hey, as long as the way I'm trying to look at it is a positive thing. It's not Vince.
Right.
It's another place for the guys have to go and learn.
Right.
And get experience. I'll tell you, these guys are doing with the ring with the 6 sides and everything. Now Vince is not doing that, so it's giving not only the boys another place to go work, but it's also giving the audience, a choice.
Right.
And and they can it's good to have a little competition.
Right.
It really, really is.
Okay, well, we can't thank you enough for being on the show. I know this probably went a little longer than you expected, but thank you so much.
That's okay.
And SherriMartel.com is the website?
Yeah, SherriMartel.com is the website. And don't forget, we got the photo albums. It's going to be listed this week, and we're going to have all kinds of items for sale, all kinds of memorabilia. And you just never know what you're going to find on SherriMartel.com.
Here's an idea. You mentioned Missy Hyatt's autobiography. Would you ever consider writing one?
Oh, it's in the works.
It's in the works.
It's in the works. It's in the works.
Okay.
It's in the works. Everybody else is doing it. I got to do one too.
I'm actually working with Ricky Steamboat on his. So.
Are you really?
Yeah. So hopefully that'll come out. We're hoping to get it out by the end of next year. So hopefully.
Right. Hey, be sure to give him my best if you talk to him.
Yes, and Bonnie Steamboat also said to say hello.
Oh, please tell her hello.
Okay, shall do. All right, well, once again, thank you so much, and stay tuned for more from the Interactive Interview.